realized these guys were on a path that I would really like to be a part of.
Come sail away, come sail away, come sail away with me.
And it was at that moment I knew things were going to happen for us.
Suddenly we were going in a direction that we all didn't agree on.
It was a definite left turn on the wheel. It was our nightmare and Dennis DeYoung's dream.
They went on tour. They were Styx without me.
Welcome to the Grand Illusion.
Grand Illusion was our year, and that was a major league home run, and the rest is rock and roll history, which we shall continue to talk about.
Come sail away, come sail away, come sail away with me. Come sail away, come sail away, come sail away with me. Sing it.
I was getting out of college, a mechanical and aerospace engineering degree, and but really wanted to be a rock and roll musician. And Panazzo Brothers and Dennis DeYoung, calling themselves TW4, they worked a lot. And the band that I'd had up to that point in time, we were very much doing cutting edge originals and covers of obscure songs, and we didn't get hired much. So it was a bit of a compromise, but I recognized that if I'm going to have a career in music, I have to make money at it. So joined up with those guys, and within about 14 months of me having joined with them, we got a recording contract.
Well, it was 1962, and we lived on the south side of the city of Chicago. Now, the Panazzo brothers were 2 years younger than me. They were 12. I was 14. But in 1970, we settled on the original 5 band members. Originally, it was called the Trade Winds, and then some band in New York had a hit record. They were called the Trade Winds, so we took the T and the W off of Trade Winds and called ourselves the TW4. And there were 5 of us. When we got a record deal in 1972, the record company, Wooden Nickel, they didn't like the name TW4 because there were 5 of us, and they asked us to come up with a name, and you know, you put 5 guys in a room and come up with the name. Wasn't happening. So the president of the record company, he suggested Styx, and it was a name that nobody hated.
So we became Styx when the first album was released.
Lady, when you're with me, I'm smiling. Give me all your love.
Lady was recorded in 1972 on her second album, and when it was first released, it was a complete failure. It's the first song I ever wrote and sang by myself on a record, and I thought they hated me. So 2.5 years later, quite by accident, the biggest radio station in America, WLS at the time, decided they were going to play Lady. And if they hadn't have done that, and there was no reason for them to do it, had they not done that, I wouldn't be sitting here today. Well, you know, the funny thing is, our success came gradually. Even though Lady was a big hit, it didn't really do that much for us. But in '75, we released an album called Equinox with the original 5 band members, myself, John and Chuck Panazzo, John Serleski, and James Young, and it went platinum in Canada. We were the perennial second fiddle behind Kiss and Aerosmith, ZZ Top, Bob C, you name them. We were the support act. We were trying to take that next step. And then we get this success in Canada that we don't really understand what's going on. So we go up to Montreal at the Forum, and we're gonna play we're opening up for Bad Company. So we start playing, and the people, something's going on. I don't know what it is. And we break into this song called Sweet Madame Blue. The whole place stands up, and they're French, you know, and they sing every note like at the top of their lungs, that song. And we had no idea. And it was at that moment I knew things were gonna happen for us. But till that moment, no clue. No clue. And that's where the line in Come Sail Away goes. But somehow we missed out on the pot of gold.
But somehow we missed out on that pot of gold. But we'll try best that we can. Rock me, people! To carry on.
It was that feeling. And my theory was, it's always about the song. It's not, because haircuts change. You know, one day the hair's down in the hair, next it's shaved, and you got a tattoo here, and you got a bone in your, what's the difference? When all that goes away, all that's left are the songs and the music. It doesn't matter. Style and fashion will change. And my theory was simply get the best songs you can on the records. And so when you listen to a Styx album, I guarantee you, the best songs that we had in that time allotted were the ones that got on the record. And that includes Kilroy, all of them. And so we saw success there. And then after Equinox, Tommy Shaw joined the band.
I was playing in another band. That's where I heard my first Styx rock song before. What I didn't know was that the song Lady had become a hit all over the world. So when I got the call to come audition for the band in December of 1975, I was kind of indifferent about it. And the guy who worked for the band, who'd heard me, he said, you know, you really should come up with this. Come up with it. And that's where I heard their new album, Equinox, for the first time. And they put it on side 2, track 1, right? Midnight Ride. And that's where I heard this guy singing Midnight Ride, and all of a sudden, all my indifference went away, and I realized these guys were on a path that I would really like to be part of.
Welcome to the brand illusion. Come on in and see what's happening. Pay the price, get your tickets for the show. Anything set, the band starts playing. Suddenly your heart is pounding, wishing secretly where I start.
The Grand Illusion really is our biggest selling record. Ultimately, it has sold 6 million copies. And, but for it to take off the way it did, you know, we all expected our lives to change dramatically.
There was no chance to get a big swelled head. And that's a good thing, because I think when people have success so quickly, it's, you know, you really think you deserve it. And you don't. You know, it's a confluence of some talent and really the universe spinning in your direction. That's really what it is. And it spun in our direction very gradually. So by the time Grand Illusion hit and made us, a very popular all around the world, we were pretty settled, and we knew what to expect.
Grand Illusion was our year, and that was a major league home run, and the rest is rock and roll history, which we shall continue to talk about. 4 triple platinums in a row is we were the first group to do that, and not a bad thing. We had a phenomenal manager that became our manager just before Tommy joined, a guy named Derek Sutton. And he had a vision. He had been the tour manager for 10 years after. He took us to the top. And at that point in time, unfortunately, our colleague decided that he couldn't work with him anymore.
Well, factually, Derek Sutton quit in a meeting in 1982. There was a dispute between him and the band members about he wouldn't allow us to be on TV. No TV. He didn't believe in it. We were not allowed to be on Midnight Special or in concert or American Bandstand, and he wouldn't allow us to film any of our concerts or have a press agent. So the band had just gotten to the point where we thoroughly disagreed with it, and when he saw that we disagreed, he quit.
Nobody got You're wondering who I am.
Secret, secret, I got a secret.
Machine or mannequin.
Secret, secret, I got a secret.
With parts made in Japan.
Secret, secret, I got a secret.
I am the modern man.
That song was a transition piece. It was about censorship, it was about technology and, you know, the problems plain to see, too much technology, machines to save our lives, machines to humanize.
For problems plain to see. Too much technology. Machines to save our lives. Machines to humanize.
It was just a song to go from a film in our concert to the live action. It was a transitional piece. That's what I wrote it for. At the end, I'm yelling, I'm Kilroy, out of nowhere. Who's gonna like that?
Now everyone can see.
Secret, secret, I got a secret.
My true identity. I'm
Kilroy,
What's my name?
Kilroy,
Say it again.
Kilroy,
What's my name?
Kilroy,
Who's your mama?
Kilroy,
Who's your daddy?
Kilroy,
My name is. My name is.
Kilroy was a definite left turn on the wheel. And without Derek there to be a part of it, it was our nightmare and Dennis DeYoung's dream.
But you have to take into consideration, we worked nonstop from the time I joined the band up until then. We're making a record, going out and doing a tour, making a record and going out and doing a tour, touring Europe, touring Canada. And, you know, if we had it to do over again, who knows how things would turn out. But we probably should have taken a year off because we were all kind of exhausted and just kept going. And suddenly we were going in a direction that we all didn't agree on. And so you know, we were still pretty young and weren't really good at communicating, that sort of thing.
Well, what it was in 1983, Tommy Shaw, we were in Washington, D.C., he announced to the band that he was quitting and he was going to pursue a solo career. It came as a great shock to all of us. And personally, the other band members, the other three band members, they wanted to replace Tommy and go on, but I didn't want to do that. I really believed that he was really integral to the success of the band. It was about, you know, about that there's a chemistry that happens between some musicians. You can put the greatest musicians in one room together and they don't make something, yet you can take three guys that do this and that and they make something special, and I really believe that's what the five of us did. And when you subtract something or add something, it's just not quite the same. Tommy joined Damn Yankees.
How your life should be. That is someone else's fantasy. So when you think your life is complete confusion, 'cause you never win the game. Just remember that it's a grand illusion. Deep inside we're all the same. We're all the same.
In '95, A&M was going to release a greatest hits album for the first time. JY, me, and John and Chuck had gotten together and started talking about doing something. And so we got back together and made an album called The Edge of the Century. And I know Tommy was no longer in Damn Yankees. So I got this idea. We couldn't put Lady on the record because Lady was actually recorded on the Wooden Nickel label and they wouldn't release it. So I said, let's re-record it and let's get Tommy to record it. He wasn't on the original. And that's how it happened. He came to my house and we you know, it was a good thing. We had a lot of laughs.
But in the end, it all worked out. And we got back together in 1995, 96. And just to say, you know, there was still, the vocals and that sort of stuff was still there, but the chemistry that we had when we first started out was just wasn't there anymore. It was like kind of like a divorced couple getting back together. You see each other, you're kind of friendly, and then you get back together, and then suddenly the things that pulled you apart all just kind of come back again.
was an incredible singer, a unique and powerful and wonderful singer, a motivated writer who wrote some great music and some great lyrics. Very, very strong keyboard player. He just didn't want to be part of a democracy that this band was. He wanted things his way. And in '99, we had this, not just a pathway of opportunity was coming by our front door for the first time, but a 10-lane superhighway of opportunity. Adam Sandler had the Big Daddy movie that he, out of the clear blue, said, I'm going to put 3 Styx songs in here, and I'm going to mention Tommy Shaw by name, and the little kid's going to say, this is Styx is one of the greatest rock bands ever. And at the same time, South Park did the Come Sail Away bit, Mr. Roboto, Volkswagen commercial. We had videotaped our '96 concert and post-produced a special that got on public television across the country.
Come Sail Away, my song that I sang was in South Park. Mr. Roboto, the song that I wrote, sang, was in the VW commercial. And the Adam Sandler movie, God bless him. The 2 songs that are featured really are Babe and Best of Times, the songs that I sang and wrote. It was true that a lot of wonderful things were happening, but it wasn't like 6 months later they would all disappear.
So in the beginning of '99, we were really hot, we were really going, and Dennis said he was not physically well enough to leave the house and go on tour, not even well enough to go downtown Chicago and play a show on the opening night on the release night of our album. And we timed our album to release the same night with the Sandler movie because we knew it was all coming together, and Dennis was unable to perform.
I got the influenza really, really, really bad. I had worked very hard. I was just knocked out, and then I went and I got sick. And I just could not get better. I just felt, I went to all kinds of doctors, and nobody could figure out what it was. But I was just it was like chronic fatigue.
I'd waited for Dennis a long time. And I'd been tired of waiting him long before that, and I think Tommy finally got tired of waiting for him as well. And we made a decision. I said, Dennis, you've worked in the theater. He played Pontius Pilate as Jesus Christ Superstar, and he was on the road doing that quite extensively in the early '90s. And I just said, we'll get a stand-in for you. You come do the cities you want to do, and we'll find somebody to do the rest. And he said, I want you to do that. I said, well, I'm sorry, but we're going to do it anyway.
After about a year of, not doing anything, Tommy sent me some demos, and I thought, well, these are great songs. So we started recording The Brave New World at my house because I was ill and I was coming down and recording. And we're about halfway through the album, and we had a meeting, and our manager came in, and he said he wanted to book a tour. And I asked if they would wait another 6 months before I could get my strength back. And essentially, they did not. It was Tommy and J.Y. It was only 3 of us in the band because Chuck had retired. And they didn't want to wait. And they said if I didn't show up for the rehearsal for a tour, then they were going to replace me. And that's what happened. I got replaced. I said, give me 6 more months. And 6 months later, I hooked up with Tim Orchard, who's been my manager ever since in 2000 in January, and played my first concert. Because I'd figured out that I had become light sensitive from the virus, and that if I needed to wear sunglasses, stay out of these lights and stay out of the sun. But I didn't know it. That was what was causing the fatigue. So I had figured it out, and I started to get better. And then, they went on tour, and they were, they were Styx without me. People were saying, you gotta, all my advisors were saying, consult lawyers, for goodness sake. And I said, I can't do this. And then a year went by, and a year and a half, and they're out on tour. And then they called me, it really crushed my spirit. And I figured it was time to say, hey, I own part of that name.
He sued us in federal court the next year over the use of the name, and the settlement is that we have full use of the name, We pay him a royalty, an override on that, and he can go out and perform all the Styx music he wants, but he can only bill it as Dennis DeYoung performing the music of Styx. So, I mean, we truly wish him well. We did some incredible work together, just there's no basis for us to work together again.
That they were angels, but to my surprise, we climbed aboard their starship. We headed for the sky, singing, "Come sail away, come sail away, come sail away with me. Come sail away, come sail away, come sail away with me." Sing it.
We played a concert in Montreal. Was that 97?
Yeah.
And he went on before us all by himself on piano. He had a solo album.
In front of 10,000 people.
Right.
Had them on their feet.
And he was getting the same kind of response that we were hoping to get with the full band and playing our catalog. And we were like, who is this guy? And when the day came where we were looking for somebody, Lawrence could sing our songs beautifully, but it's more in his own voice. But it had impact, and he sounded great when he sang with us. And just as a person, as a bandmate, somebody that you're going to be traveling with and spending that much time with, it worked out better than any of us, I think, ever anticipated. But to go back, he came down to my house, and JY and our manager kind of put him on the spot to just play something. We want to hear you play and sing. I wanted to hear him sing his song, A Criminal Mind, which is a classic rock song in Canada. So it was like, forget the other stuff, we just wanted to hear him do that. And once we heard that, we realized this guy is a powerhouse and will bring something to the band that, rather than just trying to relive the past, he's going to bring us into the future. Realized that our bass player, Ricky Phillips, who's been with us for a little over 10 years. I should tell you, Todd started with us in 1995.
He grew up in the Chicago area on Styx music, so he was kind of the #1 session drummer in the city. Todd, of course, was voted #1 rock drummer in Regis Polar Modern Drummer magazine in 2009, and has been in the top 5 ever since. And he's, God rest and God bless John Panazzo, he was a true force behind the drums, but Todd is like having a new engine under the hood, and we like taking this car out for a drive. We like doing the big summer extravaganzas, and with that we get to play the bigger venues that way.
It's just a great way for us we've been given so much and taken so much, and it's nice to be able to do something in however large or small a dose we can everywhere we go.